Hello, hello. Welcome to Crazy Games. We are here in Genshin Impact. And I got something a little different for today. I'm planning on doing like a bit of a account tour since it is like almost the anniversary, the 1 year anniversary since the launch of this game. I guess if I go to notices, you can kind of see, I can kind of show that there's like 2.1 previews, and this is the big one. I think this little like news update, Genshin Impact initial top up bonus reset. So what this means is that tomorrow, I guess, as of recording of this video, if I go to the shop, the bonus on buying Genesis crystals is gonna renew. So for people who bought, like, this is just a one-time bonus for the first time you buy the Genesis crystal, and after that you don't get this bonus anymore. So I've been using this screen to kind of show that I haven't bought any Genesis crystals, and unfortunately for me though, I can no longer do that unless I have like a record something similar like this to show that just the day before this renews, it's still at a bonus. That means I've never purchased any Genesis crystals. But I guess I can, like, after finishing recording, I can like buy all these and not tell anyone. But yeah, my Genesis crystals has always been 0, and if you look at any of my wish videos or any of my other story videos that might have caught this screen, you would have seen that it was 0. So yeah, this account is completely free to play, and I just wanted to kind of show off all the things I was able to achieve during the first year without actually paying any money. I guess, like, technically I could have bought this, but this also rewards Genesis crystals if you bought this. So since I never have any Genesis crystals on hand, it could kind of suggest that I've never bought this, but I don't know. It's you kind of have to take my word for it. It's really hard to prove that that I've never spent any money in the game, just through in-game means. Because technically I could just like have bought this or any other Genesis crystals and then quickly like use it up or something while I'm not recording, just to like kind of trick people. But yeah. So another thing that kind of shows that I haven't bought any actually the battle pass is not available right now, but normally I would show that I don't have any of the battle pass weapons, and my battle pass had like the bottom row of the battle pass where you had to pay for is always like grayed off because I have no access to that since you got to pay for it. So that's like another way I would show that I'm free to play, but I don't know, you're just gonna take my word for it. Well, first things first, let's move on to the tour, I guess. The first things first is this menu here. I would like to show off the avatars. What's interesting about this screen is actually it sorts it by when you unlock the character, like these avatars. So what this means is I got Amber first, and then Kea, and then I got Noel before I got Lisa, even though like Lisa, Kea, and Amber are like the free-to-play characters. So going through these avatars, you can kind of see the order in which I've unlocked these characters just through like polls or any events that have let you unlock one straight up. Like Ninguan here, I unlocked straight up from the Li Yue Lantern Rite Festival, like late last year. And yeah, and Yoimiya is my most recent one, as some people can see who has been following my wish videos. So there's that. And another thing to show off really here is the name cards. And I've unlocked quite a few of these, but honestly I don't really care about these things. So there is quite a few that I could probably get if I put effort into it, but I don't have yet. So yeah, these are the name cards that I have. These name cards are the ones that I have. Some of them are from events, some of them are from achievements, some of them are from friendships. And yeah, For the most part, I just rep or equip the most current one I got, and the most current one I got, I guess, was being able to friendship Zhongli at level 10. So I have this equipped, but it'll change whenever I get a new name card, I guess. So, I guess the next thing I want to get into is the party setup menu, just to kind of show off how I've used this menu. Normally, Team Black Coffee here is my main team that I use. I've just had it set to Lumine for now, just so like the ordering of everything in the character menus are not, because usually like the 4 characters you have will be at the top, and then everyone else is at the bottom. But I have Lumine currently the only character in the party, just so like this ordering is kind of most default as possible, like the sorting of it. But yeah, instead of actually building 4 different teams that I use, I actually use this to keep track of the characters I want to like upgrade first. So this team Ascension is the characters I want to ascend next. So I'm working towards maxing out the Ascension level for Sucrose at the moment. So I guess if I go into her details, you can see that I've kind of made some progress into achieving or collecting this material, the Hurricane Seed. And once I'm able to ascend her to her last Ascension rank, I'll probably just level her up to level 82 like I did with all these other people, and then move on to the next one, which is official. And yeah, I don't have enough like the specific boss drop to ascend these people. So this is just like a thing that keeps track of which characters I'm gonna ascend. And in this one, it's equipment instead. So if I take a look at Xin Yan here, what I mean by equipment is the weapon and artifact. So I'm planning on like eventually spending some resources in enhancing this to ascend this weapon, and also upgrade her artifacts to a decent level. And by a decent level, I usually stop upgrading these artifacts at level 16. Like for her, this is level 14 right now, so that's why I have her listed as Ascension or equipment upgrade, since I want to upgrade this level 16, or what this one to level 16. Usually 16 seems like a pretty good number to be at, since it's like one away from, because every 4 levels you get like increase in the substats. So 16 is like at a level where it's pretty strong, but it's not maxed out, because like the last 4 levels take so much resources that it's kind of hard to get all the resources you need. And I feel like 16 is a really good value to upgrade things, unless like the artifact itself is like really good. Like I guess something like this, I would probably try and put more. If this is like feather or something, like I guess this one is kind of like pretty good for me, since the crit damage is like really high and the energy recharge is really high for Jean in particular. Like I would try and max it out if I really like the substats. But if I don't really like the substats, I think the substats could be better, I would just upgrade them to like level 16, since this one, like energy recharge and the 2 defenses are good for Xin Yan, but the HP is kind of like, sure, it helps, but it doesn't really build well with her. So I haven't really put the time into maxing this out, that kind of deal. So yeah, I'll go into details of these characters, like each one of them later. I think that might be the most interesting part of the video, or most interesting and also probably the most boring, since it will be like the same thing over and over again about each character. But maybe like pick out the character that you're curious in and take a look at that. But yeah, so this is for Ascension, this is for like weapons and artifacts. I'm keeping track of them here. And this one's for talent levels. So for example, Beto here, these 2 are technically level 3, but because I have constellations for Beto, that increases them to level 6. But I would like to increase these at some point, like get the resources in order to do it, which I currently don't have any. So yeah, that's pretty much what I use this party screen for the most part. I don't actually build parties. I use it more to keep track of my plans on how to like upgrade characters. All right, moving on. I would like to kind of go to the map here, kind of show off the exploration progress. So far, it's still the 2.0 update. So apparently in the 2.1, like 2 new islands will appear somewhere for you to explore. And in 2.2, I believe, is a third island. That's what I heard. I'm not sure if that's true or not. So I'm looking forward to that. But for the time being, I've already explored 100% of each things, which I don't think is representative of like the progress. I think I noticed that I got 100% exploration progress, but I was still finding like chests and puzzles and stuff all over the place that didn't count towards it somehow. I don't really know what dictates this 100%, but yeah, I got the 100% exploration for these. And if I go to Li Yue, I got 100% exploration for each zone too. So Minlin, Lisha, Sea of Clouds, Qizhong Estuary, Baishu Plains, and then Dragon Spine here is 100, and yeah, everything in Mondstadt here, the 4 areas here are 100 too. So that's kind of my progress so far. Even as a free-to-play, I guess, exploration, you don't have to pay for exploration, so this is one thing you can do as you play through. Oh yeah, another thing about the map is I actually make notes on the map. Like you can drop pins, so like this area here, you can kind of see that I've dropped a bunch of mining pick pins to kind of denote where places are full of like ore and stuff you can mine. But I've also like made notes, like if I go to this domain here, I've actually made a note here above it saying like, oh, in this domain, it's a pyro domain, so you want to have cryo, you want to have hydro, but if you have electro, you'd kill yourself. Since I think in this domain there's like a I don't know what it's called. A blessing? No, it's not a blessing. It's like a instability of some kind, where if you combo or overload, I guess in particular, overload would cause like an explosion where you got the overload that would hurt your character. So you eventually like just commit suicide if you use an electro. So I use these pins to note down certain aspects of the game. And up inside your lake here, I actually have like weekly stuff that I need to do. So do the big bosses, like Devalin here, and Andreas here, or is it called Andreas? Lupus Boreas is like the name here, but I believe he's called like Andreas something. And there's Tartaglia here, and Azdaha here, and whatever new like big boss that will be coming into the game is kind of like what this thing is telling me to do every week. Big bosses, do the rep quests, because even if you maxed out the rep quests, you still get a good amount of Mora. And as a free-to-play, like Mora is frequently the bottleneck to what you want to upgrade. Like everything requires Mora. If you want to upgrade Ascension, if you want to upgrade weapons, if you want to upgrade artifacts. By Ascension, I mean like leveling up your character and ascending them. Like everything, upgrading weapons, artifacts, Ascension, cooking, crafting, everything requires Mora. So Mora is generally a bottleneck for me as a free-to-play, and rep quests, even if you maxed out the reputation of the area, they still reward Mora, which is like a weekly bump, which is nice to have. I cook because there's like achievements associated to cooking, and having like food laying around really helps with like daily commissions and a lot of quests that require you to have a certain kind of food or whatever available. And achievements like provide primo gems and everything. So usually like doing everything you can do in the game would be useful in one way or another. And the converter is just the weekly trash converter thing you get from I'll go into the items and quickly show. It's this gadget here. Wait, is it a gadget? Yeah, this gadget here, the parametric transformer, where you throw a bunch of trash items into it and it'll give you something useful back. If I go back to scrolling this map is kind of annoying. If I go back to here, I have a second one here that it's just like the daily things that I do, which is expeditions. So telling your characters to go out and grab stuff for you through the Adventurers Guild. Daily commissions, which is like a reliable way to trickle in some primo gems. The teapot, which if you invited friends, or invited, I guess, the characters to live inside of teapot and stuff, you get friendship rewards for those characters, and also you get like Adeptus coins, I think it's called, and you can use that to like trade for more resin for the week, or more artifact experience, more mora, more like experience writs or pages or whatever those things are called. You can do that. And yeah, the resin, like use up the resin. So right now you can see my resin is at, oh, I don't want to do that. Oops. It's at 7 out of 160. And one of the things to pay attention to is really to use up your resin before it maxes out if you want to like maximize the amount of rewards you get. So yeah, this is to remind me to do that. Do anything in the battle pass, since the battle pass have pretty good rewards too. Any events that are going on, whether it is in game, that's in this menu here. This events menu, this one. So any like events that's going on right now, there's like no events since I guess the game is getting ready for a 2.1 update. So yeah, those events usually reward primo gems, fates, and like really useful stuff for you to make progress in the game. Man, I should have went to Mondstadt, I think, if I wanted to show off this area of the map that I have. And yeah, just ore, I guess, is the last thing, which is just like you talk to the dude, the blacksmith dude in each area. And if you have reputation with the city, they will tell you where you can find bundles of ore that you can mine. And that's really useful for weapons upgrades, since you usually find the crystals or the amethysts in Inazuma for those weapons. And yeah, I guess that's what I have for the map. Let's move on to this thing right here. So the next thing is really this spiral abyss. And this is a reliable, I guess, a reliable source of primo gems that I've kind of not taken full advantage of. Each one of these rewards primo gems for every 3 stars you get, but I don't really have like good enough teams, strong enough teams to like max these out. As you can see, I only got like the 3 stars on this floor, since I'm not able to max out or defeat these challenges fast enough, which I don't know, I feel like it's kind of like a bad thing about the Spiral Abyss. The challenging aspects of it isn't really game mechanics, it's fighting against a clock most of the time. And I don't know, having a time limit as a challenge is just kind of lame in my opinion, because technically I can defeat these stages because I kind of utilize the characters or utilize the game mechanics to be able to survive and defeat the characters. But because it's on a time limit, I'm not getting like all the rewards out of it. And it's not really my fault, I guess, but kind of is my fault at the same time that I can't do this. Is because it takes so much resources to like level up your characters, and instead of focusing my resources in to level up 1 or 2 teams, I've kind of spread out all my resources across all my characters to try to get them all at some like baseline. some like acceptable fight level for regular content, that they're not that good when playing against the Spiral Abyss content, because like in this floor, I wonder if no, they don't. Oh yeah, they do tell you. They're like your max level in the game is level 90, but like as you can see, these characters are like level 95, level 98, level 100, and there is a significant damage reduction that you do against characters and enemies that are higher level than you. So like if you don't have the highest level characters with the best like weapon, highest level weapons, and the highest maxed out artifacts, this is pretty challenging, especially if you want to complete it within this time limit. And yeah, I feel like it's kind of limiting as a free to play player, since I don't have the resources to really polish out a team. And on top of that, the is it this thing? This changes. So right now it's favoring elemental orbs and particles. So you want to like choose characters that have really short elemental skills or elemental burst abilities to like try and trigger the elemental orbs as fast as possible to take advantage of this. So like if I have built a team for this with some of the characters that have like really short elemental skill recharge times, it will work for this moon's phase of this challenge, but like in the future they might change it to like, oh, elemental mastery reactions does a certain thing, and then like the team that I've built is no longer like viable or won't exactly be able to go through it. So yeah, which is like the reason why I decided to just make as many characters as I can to an acceptable level and only rely on like one or two DPS or support characters to kind of do most of the work, while using some of the weaker ones to do like elemental reactions or take advantage of like, let's say, Keqing's ability to blink around the map, or take advantage of Beto's like countering or something as a shield, or take advantage of Sucrose's CC abilities, but really do most damage as you can using like Jean. Actually, not Jean. She's a support, but like comboing Clee and Fischl's like elemental skill. They combo pretty well, but spawn the Fischl's Oz first, and then like switch to Clee to do most of the damage and also trigger all the reactions kind of thing, which I feel like is a little bit better, but at the same time, it's still not. The DPS check is still not high enough for me, for my level of play, to really be able to like clear these within the time limit to get all the rewards. So, unfortunately, that's a thing. I wish I had the ability to clear these, since I am leaving. Like I said before, I am leaving a lot of Primo Gems on the table when these leave, which is a little unfortunate. But oh well, that's just life as a free-to-play player. Alright, quick cut back to Inazuma here. The next section I want to kind of show off is the achievements section, which I'll only briefly go into because it's kind of a mess. I feel like they could simplify this menu a bit more, since they've just kind of been jamming everything into this one menu. So like for all your story achievements are all like here, but it's not sorted in a way where it's easy to find which achievements you've already got and which achievements you don't have, and which like secret achievements you have, which is kind of a pain because there's like Primo Gems attached to these, so you kind of want to know what you've done and what you haven't done, so you can kind of focus on what to go for as a reward next. And yeah, at the top right, you can see I have 336 achievements completed, which I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's comparable or higher or lower than average, but yeah, that's how many achievements I have apparently. And in the World of Wonders, I got these two achievements for, I believe they're daily commissions that I've never found. Actually, I've got the Love is All Around one before, but I don't know why. I only got 3 signs, and it tells me to go back to the dude and talk to him before I found like the 5 signs. So I don't know if that's bugged or something, but I've never been able to do these 2 for whatever reason throughout my first year, I guess, in this game. I guess it's all the daily commissions here are RNG, so and you gotta play the daily commissions a certain way to unlock these or to achieve these achievements. These were supposed to be the achievements for the hangout events, but I've never done any of them. In the past I've talked about how I was gonna play these and record myself play these to put on my channel, but I've actually never had the time to sit down and play these. I've completed all the achievements in this. I don't really remember what it's for. For the most part, the way they categorize these achievements is not very consistent, I feel like. Like sometimes there'll be like a challenger series like these, which I think one of these is like the Spiral Abyss. But like at the same time, some of these are like doing puzzles in the open world or doing whatever this, like using a bow character for this one, which is, I don't know, a little bit too specific and or sometimes a little bit too vague. And yeah, I really hope in the future someone takes a look, someone at MiHoYo just takes a look at all these again and reorganizes it in a more intuitive, more palatable and better user experience kind of way. Because right now, my eyes just glaze over the moment I want to like look something up here. Just like, oh, I don't, whatever, I don't care anymore. This is just too much of a pain to look at. Alright, moving on. The next thing I want to show off is the quest menu. So right now I have no active quests in any of my tabs, but if you go here, you can see that I have these hangout events that I have not done yet. All the endings for these are 0 out of 5. Oops. What did I press there? Okay, 0 out of 5. There's 2 of these. One of them I haven't even unlocked yet. And these cost like these commission keys in order to do it too. So I should really put some time into these, but I have not done any of them. So I don't know. I guess look forward to that in the future. Probably, maybe, hopefully. But yeah, there's a lot of rewards here that I'm leaving on the table again by not doing these. So hopefully I'll be able to do these soon. But I just wanted to show that these exist, and unfortunately I have not interfaced with them. And at the same time, if you go to this menu, you can see all the Archon quests that you've done. So all of these like sections for all the different chapters of the Archon quests. And recently the Inazuma quests you can kind of check out. One of the interesting things about this menu that maybe not a lot of people showcase is that, is that you can change. Usually going through the game, you can choose what dialogue option for Lumine to speak, but here you can choose the other dialogue just to see how it changes the flow of the conversation. But as you can see, like, this doesn't really change anything anymore. I think in some of the previous ones, Paimon would just make like a different response than one, like through one dialogue path over another, and that's about the only thing that changes. But like now that I've actually looked into this, no matter what you choose doesn't change anything at all, it seems like. But yeah, there's that. There's all, like, you can just look at these, and then they also show the different character story quests that they've put in the game too, so you can take a look at this if you want. Unfortunately, what I would rather happen, instead of you can go into like the Lisa story quest and look at all the voice lines again, like I can just play this. I think what I would rather happen is like you can replay, like you just go into here, confirm, and you can do like a thing where it's like, do you want to replay this story step or something? And then you say yes, and it'll just like set kind of that story step, all the scripts and whatever, all the placements of the NPCs ready, and you can just do the story step again just without any rewards or whatever. Maybe I think that would be better, especially for someone like me who's recording myself play the game. If there's any case where I missed something, I can always like go back for footage if I really needed to. It's a little bit tedious, but at least it's there. But currently, there's no way to go back unless I make like a brand new account and play through the game again. But yeah, I guess that's all I have for the quest menu. Alright, moving on. I'm going to go into the character menu, and I think this is probably the most interesting, but also the most tedious part of this video. Hopefully this isn't too bad. I normally just like record myself talk off the top of my head. There's no script or anything, so hopefully this isn't too bad. This is where the majority of the unlocks and leveling up in the game, like all the rewards, is a part of this menu for the most part. There are some things like gadgets and stuff that are part of the inventory menu, and we'll go through that too, but for now we'll go through each character. And I'm not sure if I'm going to go through Lumine all that much, since there is kind of 3 versions of the Traveler right now. There's this version, which is the Electro version. There's the Geo version and the Anemo version as well. But for the most part, I guess the attributes would be pretty similar. It's just the constellations and talent that changes. But I guess I'll show what I have right now for Lumine, which is right now her talents is just all at level 5. And Bellowing Thunder here is at level 8 because of Constellation. And one thing about Lumine is that she gets Constellation upgrades by playing the game, which is kind of nice. And right now I only got the C3, the third level Constellation. But I've maxed out the Constellation for both the Geo and the Anemo. And yeah, if I look at the artifacts, oh, that's another thing that I kind of want to go through as I go through each character, is kind of how I've tried to build the character and the reasons why I gave them the artifacts and weapons that I have. So that's another reason why I think this might be interesting, in the fact that I got certain artifacts and weapons for them, but at the same time it's like super tedious since I'll be going through each character. So hopefully it's not going to be too bad. So for the most part, I've just gave her this new set. Since I'm not really using her right now, she's kind of like the experimental artifact set that I've put in, because there's really no way to store like a set of artifacts at the moment. Hopefully maybe in the future MiHoYo will put something like that in as a feature where you can just like look at which artifacts you want and make a set that you can just like transfer from character to character without having to go through each one and changing it. But yeah, Lumine is kind of like my placeholder for this new Emblem of the Severed Fate set, which is, by nature, this set is an energy recharge, so I've been trying to just like build a DPS energy recharge out of this. I haven't leveled any of this up yet, so normally I have like the headpiece as crit rate and everything as attack. I guess the flower and the feather is usually static, like it doesn't change, but I feel like I've got pretty good pulls on these, since it's all like crit damage and crit rate and attack. But I can only get so lucky, I guess. But yeah, I wanted to build Lumine to be an energy recharge for the Electro Traveler, since she has a lot of like interactions with Electro or with energy recharge anyway. Her elemental burst is really useful to have up as much as possible, since once she casts it, you can switch to a different character, and whoever has this ult like flying around them would get more energy particles or elemental particles. So she becomes like a battery, and the more I can buff her energy recharge, the better, I guess, it is for the team. And yeah, that's the reason why I have her with this set. And I've kind of just given her this weapon because I don't really have any other weapon to give her. I think out of all the weapons that I have, this is probably the best, and some of these other weapons is better on those other characters instead. And since I don't use Lumine all that much in gameplay, I gave her this because I use other characters, and it seems like I like their builds with certain weapons over others. And yeah, I have this sword, which is Elemental Mastery, which I don't feel like is as good for Lumine as this sword. So yeah, if I go into this menu, now that we're done with Lumine, we'll go to all the other characters. What I have here is a bunch of characters that I have followed. Like you can see, you can follow or unfollow this character by pressing X, and it puts like a star on the top right corner of their portrait. So what I've done using this is that I've starred every character that I have not maxed their friendship, and I've kind of recently started maxing out more and more characters, like their friendship, because of the teapot feature that accumulates friendship points over time, pretty much, as long as they're living in there. So there was actually a lot more starred characters in the past than it is now, but I might change what the meaning of a starred character is in the future, but currently it's just to keep track of the characters that I have not maxed out friendship for yet. So if so the way I build like a team normally is I try to incorporate as much characters. Like if I were to build a team right now, I try to incorporate as many characters as I can that I have not maxed out their friendship. So unfortunately, like this menu doesn't have the same sorting as the other character menu, where it would be nice if I can see all the characters I followed so I know exactly which ones need to be or should be used, or which ones have more interest in using at the moment. But this one just straight up sorts by like level, I believe. So yeah. So I don't have Keqing leveled up, like her character max, so I normally try and put her in. I don't have Rosaria maxed out, so I put her in. They will be kind of my DPS characters. And then what I normally do is have like a shield character and a healing character. But since the characters have to be on the team in order for them to gain friendship points, currently I'm actually putting Noel on the team since she can both shield and heal. But like the team before this, before I've maxed out Zhongli, it was Zhongli and Jean on the team, with so that it was like Keqing, Rosaria, Zhongli, and Jean, while I was leveling up Zhongli, Rosaria, and Keqing's companion friendship level points. But recently I've maxed him out, so I've created a new team which has Noel as the shielder and the healer. And who was my last person? I believe it was Yanfay. That's kind of like the ranged and the elemental reaction with electro and ice, or cryo. And that's normally how I build a team. I try to make like a character that's regular DPS, a character that's more like of a support DPS with like elemental reactions and stuff, healer character, and shield character. As long as I have that seems like pretty balanced in my opinion. And I'll also have like a claymore character on hand, just in case, for the open world, since you can destroy and mine ore easier that way. So yeah, that's normally how I build my characters. So yeah, back to the character menu here. I've again threw the only Lumine on the team, so we can see what we have here. So now I'm gonna go through each of my characters and kind of show off what they have. So we'll start with Oola here, and I'll just go through this list. So attribute-wise, she's at level 82. I generally try to get characters at level 79, because if I use them as level 79, they can still gain experience while they're out in the open world, so that possibly I can save on the level up materials here. I don't remember what these are called, like adventurers writs or something. I can save on them since they do add up. Like, or if I use Ninguan as an example, as I was using Ninguan, look, I've gotten about 121,000 experience just by using her in the open world. I've leveled her up to level 79 and left her kind of like at the initial level 79 without any experience, and just by using her in the open world while leveling her friendship points, I've been able to accumulate that much experience using her. So that's kind of the reason why I have them at level 79. And if they're at level 80, it's because at the time I wasn't thinking about the whole like amount of experience that add up as you're playing the game. But I guess that's kind of a new thing that I've been doing, is if I think, like, for the most part, I think level 80 is enough to deal with most of the content in this game, and you don't really need to level past 80 unless you want to tackle more challenging content like the Spiral Abyss. But unfortunately, characters at these high levels just take so much resources. Like, if I were to level Zhongli to max level right now, it would take pretty much all of my Adventurer's Writs here. So I think that amount, 149, can probably level a character from level 1 to level like 70 something, I believe. Maybe like, yeah, probably level 70 something. I'm not sure if I'm not sure how correct I am, but just getting like the last 10 levels just takes so much more resources compared to like the first 80. I wonder if they're ever going to increase the max level at some point in the future. Hopefully they don't, because it just means more resources. maybe there'll be another resource you use to level them up to level 100. Who knows? That's kind of one of the things to look forward to in this game, I guess. See what kind of power creep there is. But yeah. Anyways, back to Oola. She's currently using this snow-tombed star silver claymore, which is a physical damage. I've built her with the physical damage pale flame artifact, so she's pretty much a physical damage dealer. And that's kind of the build that I've given to her. And if I go through each one of her artifacts, they're decent but not that great. The artifact accumulation in this game is just so, I don't know, RNG and grindy that it's actually not really fun to play against, but there's enough there that makes you want to do it just to like level up your characters and give them like the perfect build, which is, I don't know. I kind of wish there was ways to like control the substats, like in like the Hyrule Warriors kind of game. You can like infuse, like you can fuse two different artifacts together. You can take a main one and then take another one that you have a substat that you want and fuse it in and stuff like that. I wonder if they're ever going to add something like that to like kind of satisfy the min-maxers of this game, which I feel like I might be a part of since I've tried so hard to try and get these artifacts for these characters. I have no constellations for her, and I barely touched her talents. You're going to see this pretty often in the talents side of every character. I barely increase the levels of these, since for whatever reason when I look at this menu it doesn't seem like that's a lot of power increase, but at the same time I've actually never really tried to level people up. I think the most I've leveled up is Jean, and we'll take a look at her when we get to her. But yeah, talents is one of the things that I've not really interfaced with all that much because I'm too busy using my resin on artifacts, using my resin to get the Ascension materials for characters, and using my resin to like get the weapon Ascension materials and stuff too. And it makes it so that leveling these up, I don't spend the resin in getting like this material. And also like when these get to a higher level, they cost so much more that I feel like it's worth more to spend elsewhere. So yeah, I won't go into the profile. There's like a lot of like voiceover and story stuff you get by ascending them and gaining more friendship with them. But I guess I won't do that since that will bloat this out a lot more. But I think as I go through these characters, it'll probably get shorter and shorter since like the sentiment is like the same throughout every character. The kind of like the algorithm that I have in my brain that I go through when I level them up. So yeah, go back to attribute. Let's move on to Rosaria. Rosaria is also a physical damage dealer. She is holding the physical damage Dragon Spine Spear, which is also the same set as this one, I guess. And as you can see, like for my weapons, I also only get them to level 80, and that's like, I feel like that's a good spot to have them at, since it costs so much to level them up more. But yeah, it takes so much resin to like get this material, and at the same time it costs quite a bit of the weapon enhancement crystals as well, which actually honestly lately I've been accumulating quite a bit. But I guess we'll get there when we get there. She is using half, no, she's using full Pale Flame. I did have her using half Pale Flame and half Blood Tainted, just to get the double physical damage plus 25. But I feel like since her elemental skill recharges quick enough, I can refresh the 4-piece bonus on this pretty frequently, so that's why I went with Pale Flame here. And yeah, it's pretty much just DPS. Crit rate, attack, HP. And I guess you can pause to see the substats on them. They're usually not too good. I don't really have a set of artifacts that I'm proud of. The only set of artifact I'm proud of is Zhongli, and we'll get there eventually. I have one constellation for her, and yeah, her talents are not upgraded all that much either. We'll move on to Keqing. She's also DPS. It seems like MiHoYo likes to release DPS characters more than anything else. So I've kind of built her to be just a regular DPS. I know some people build her to be physical damage, but I feel like that's a waste of her elemental skill, since it does imbue her attack with Electro. And yeah, she's using the shop sword that you get from the shop by trading in Star Glitter, which is a crit damage, which she's, I believe, like my highest DPS character because of this sword. And she's also using a Gladiator set, which just makes her normal attacks more powerful, if I summarize that set. And yeah, I'll just go through each one of her artifacts, and you can pause and take a look at them if you really want to see the details. I have one constellation for her, which is actually a pretty funny story. I originally pulled on her character banner for whatever reason. Her MiHoYo made like a character banner for her specifically after Hu Tao's banner, which is weird since she is not like a new character or anything. She was part of the original like permanent banner. And at the time I was thinking like, if I were to weigh how fun Keqing's character playstyle is with Hu Tao, I would rather have Keqing. But so then I saved my pity for her banner instead of pulling Hu Tao. But looking back now, if I pulled on Hu Tao, I would have had my pity land on Hu Tao instead, and I would have had both Keqing and Hu Tao. But unfortunately, at the time with the information I had, I pulled on Keqing, got Keqing on her character banner, and a few weeks down the line, or maybe a few months, I don't remember when exactly I got this constellation, but I pulled on the permanent banner and also got Keqing with that 5-star pity. And I'm like, no, I could have got Hu Tao. But yeah, unfortunately that's a thing. And at the same time, her talents are not really that leveled up. I think I've pretty much stopped at level 5 for the most part for all the characters, since the amount of resources required to upgrade them after level 5 like starts to ramp up quite significantly. Let's move on to Beto. Beto is a little bit interesting. She's kind of a DPS, but she has like benefits that scale off of her HP, like the amount of damage she can absorb with her elemental skill is scaled off of HP, and the amount of barrier she gets from her elemental burst is scaled off of HP. So I've actually given her a crit damage. This is also the same set that you trade with Star Glitter on the shop. And I think she's like frequently depicted with this weapon in like the promotional artwork too. So I just felt like it like fits her character. A lot of times when I build characters, I don't really think of like the stats. Sometimes I like just like it when they look nice, and I feel like this weapon suits her pretty well. And any other weapon just kind of like the coloring kind of clashes with her, but this one like just like feels like it's made for her. So she has half Pale Flame, half Blood Tainted set, so she has a crit rate, but unfortunately this one has like a bunch of HP attached to it, which probably would not work for any other character, but it kind of works for her since she can utilize HP for some of her attacks. I think for the most part, if you want DPS, you want to avoid HP, but in her case, at the very least, even if her DPS suffers because of it, at the very least, she can take advantage of the HP increase, whereas some other characters can't. And yeah, I'll just kind of scroll through each one, and you can take a look if you're curious. I've almost maxed her out. I believe I've kind of traded Star Glitter for her in the past, and also there was a event that rewarded her that you can invite her recently, I believe, when 2.0 came out, so that's the reason why she's like so close to maxing out. And yeah, her talents, these are at level 3 technically, but because of the constellations, they're at level 6. So again, like for her talents, I haven't really spent a lot of focus onto, as you would see is a theme throughout a lot of all the other characters. Alright, let's move on to Yanfay. Yanfay is level 79. Actually, yeah, Beto, I didn't really talk about their levels all that much, but yeah. For the most part, Yanfay is level 79, and I am out. Since there's so many Pyro characters that I have leveled up in the past, I've actually don't have enough of this material either for her. And fighting against the Primo Geovishap doesn't specifically drop this item, so it's kind of hard to level her up. At the same time, if I just go here quickly, since Yoimiya is also required to have that as a level up material, like this thing, it makes it so that that specific material is just so much stretched thin across so many characters. And as you can see, I've leveled up like Amber, Xiangling, Bennett, Clee, Xin Yan. They all needed that specific whatever this thing's called, the gemstones, the agate gemstones. So I've used up and ran thin with that resource specifically. So yeah, I don't think I'll be able to ascend her anytime soon. But yeah, she's holding the Frost Spear, which is also from Dragon Spine. And I originally had her using this, but I felt like with the current team I'm using, I don't get as much elemental reactions as I would like to trigger that bonus. And I also don't think the Elemental Mastery here is... Since I'm not getting the reactions, the Elemental Mastery here is, like, not as taken advantage of. Whereas, like, just straight up attack increase here is pretty good for the time being. She's kind of the last Catalyst user I leveled up, so she kind of had to take whatever is available. Unfortunately. If I take a look at her artifacts, she's using half Wanderer's Troop, which increases Elemental Mastery. I believe I had her using full Wanderer's Troop artifacts before, because I just had a leveled up set of Wanderer's Troop lying around that I kind of pulled off of other characters when I try to build those characters with an actual like set of artifacts that would benefit them. So she's kind of using a lot of hand-me-downs right now. Even her Crimson Witch of Flame set is kind of like hand-me-down from Clee at the moment. So yeah, you can see... let me start from the headpiece again. Wanderer's Troop. This is Archaic Petra, which is a Geo artifact, but fortunately it is a pyro damage bonus. This is a Crimson Witch, Wanderer's Troop, and another Crimson Witch. And the substaffs on these are somewhat questionable. I got no constellations for her. And again, I haven't really put a lot of resources into leveling up her talents. Yoimiya is my newest character, and she doesn't really have anything going for her at the moment. She's level 59 with a little bit of an opportunity to absorb some open world experience if she needs to, but I can also like max this out. I just don't want to waste that 875 experience at the moment for whatever reason. Especially since I'm not using her at the moment anyway. There's really no point. She's using the new bow that's been introduced in this version, which isn't really leveled up yet either, so that's kind of like just set up so that when I get to her, when I get to start focusing more resources on her, then I'll kind of have to pay attention to her level, her ascension, her weapon, her artifacts, which is this new set that also was introduced in the 2.0 patch. And I feel like I have some luck with this set, but at the same time, since most of it is like just a 3, and there's the 4th one is kind of an RNG gamble, so it could end up not too well. So you can kind of take a look at this. Most likely, some of these will be replaced with better ones if I ever pull better ones when I do more domains for them. No constellation since he's new and her talent isn't too good. Jean. Jean is the one character that has been like my favorite for the longest time, ever since the beginning of the game, because she resembles Saber from Fate Stay Night, and I really like that character. And she's also voiced by the same voice actress as Senjo Gahara Hitagi from Bakemonogatari, and I really like that series too. And yeah, she's the one character that I've kind of put a lot of resources, time, and energy into, since she is like cool aesthetically, and she's also very good in a team setting since she is a support character. She's level 88, probably one of my stronger characters. The only character I've maxed out is really the main character, but everyone else I've kind of left because it just costs so much to max them out. She's using the Festering Desire from the Dragon Spine update, because the way I've built her really is I switch to her, use her elemental skill, and switch to a different DPS. And since this weapon increases elemental skill damage and crit rate, this seemed like a pretty good weapon for her, but aesthetically, in my opinion, I think I would rather have her with this weapon or something, or maybe even this one. But I guess as a free-to-play character, or as a free-to-play player of this game, I kind of have to give her what I can get. I've given her a set that is half Viridescent Veriner to increase her Anemo damage, which is just her low just to boost her low cooldowns, like elemental skill damage. And since it has such a low cooldown, you can just kind of switch to her, use it, switch out, and then like 6 seconds later switch back and use it again. And some of these are pretty well, like the substats on them are pretty good, but unfortunately there are some pretty bad ones too. I have her with an anemo damage bonus cup here because the substats are pretty nice, since her healing is scaled off of her attack. And since this is anemo damage bonus, it also makes it so that she can just like, I could switch to her, poke people with her elemental skill, do a good amount of damage and switch out, which is kind of like the idea of doing whatever I can to boost her elemental skill damage, which is does anemo damage. I have no constellation for her. Unfortunately, as a free-to-play player, 5-star characters is hard to get constellation for in my position. Her talents, I've actually put quite a bit of resources into. As you can see, like, it costs 120,000 Mora and like so many of these gold books in order to go up one level. And if you look at Gale Blade, I've leveled this up as much as I can because this is kind of the only skill that I spam, which I feel like since I spam it so much, if I level it up, then it'll be worth putting the resources into. But yeah, this costs 450, almost 500,000 Mora just to upgrade one level. And 500,000 Mora is actually really hard to come by. The only reason why I have the amount of Mora that I have now is because of a recent event that gave you double the reward for the ley line. What are those called? Those like the two like resin events that either rewards character experience or rewards Mora. I pretty much farmed Mora using that event, so that's the only reason why I have so much Mora. But normally, like, I don't have this amount of money or this amount of Mora, and leveling up these talents past like level 5 starts to like become a real investment. So yeah. And spending resin to do the domains in order to get these books to level them up, also kind of like the opportunity cost there is pretty high, since I could be using that resin on other things like Ascension and stuff of either characters or weapons. And I feel like this is kind of like the last thing I would upgrade on a character since it's just so costly. Let's go to Chi-Chi. Another 5-star character. She is set up kind of funny. Not really a DPS, but not really a support either. She heals. Her healing scales with attack, so I pretty much gave her whatever item I can that increases her attack. So the sword here is an attack sword. And I feel like this one was better than the other ones, since this one fits Bennett a bit more. Chi-Chi's elemental skill has a really high cooldown, which doesn't take advantage of the perk of this one all that much. So that's why I've given her the flute. I've given her like a support Maiden's Beloved set, but again, it's all attack to increase the amount of attack that she can provide, or the amount of healing she can provide. And I used to have her with, I believe this, no wait. There was another Maiden's one that was healing bonus. I believe I might have kind of consumed that. But yeah, she's like a Maiden's Beloved set, so she's more of a healer than a DPS. But then if you look at her stats on the artifacts themselves, they're all like attacks, so she can kind of do damage and she can kind of heal. But with the difficulty of the content, her healing is like good enough, and for the most part, I would rather use other characters to do the DPS, and I would only use her to apply cryo if I really need to. So this is functional at the very least. No constellations for her. It'll be a running theme that I have no constellations for 5-star characters. Her talent is pretty leveled up, I would say, but still, like, not very leveled up. It's more leveled up than the earlier characters, but yeah, again, it's just too costly to level her up. Alright, Clee. Clee has been my main DPS since, like, I've pulled her pretty early into playing this game, so she has been, like, my main DPS. So I've actually leveled her up pretty high too, and originally I had her using this for crit damage, but after the Dodo King storyline that gave her this weapon, I've just had to equip her with this, even though I think this is probably higher DPS for her. But it's just so adorable to see her with her books, so it just matches her outfit so well. And she has a Crimson Witch set, which fits her pretty well, with a Pyro bonus cup that is from a different set that just fits. Luckily, I have enough Crimson Witch to like get her 4-piece bonus. So, yeah, this crit rate isn't too good. If I could roll a better one, I would rather have it, but unfortunately, she's stuck with this crit rate since if I replace this with a different crit rate, she won't no longer have the 4-piece bonus. And I feel like that's one decision that I've decided that I would rather her have the crit rate bonus than to have like the attack here instead, which I believe this is a lot more DPS than this one here. So yeah, I'll scroll through these so you can take a look at them. These two are pretty good, but the rest of them are not too good. I have one constellation for her. I actually was able to pull her. I believe it was a... Was it a lucky pull? I don't think it was lucky pull. I think it might have been a pity as well. Unfortunately. Oh well. But I do have one constellation for her since I got... I think my first... iteration of her, like when I first unlocked her, it was a lucky pull. It wasn't a pity, but the second time around it was a pity, which I was hoping to lose 50-50 on her and get either Diluc or Mona, but apparently Clee loves me, so she wanted to increase her constellation. Her talents are somewhat increased, but still not very high. And let's look at Johnny. Johnny is max Ascension, but not max level. He also has like a lot of perks when you increase her or his HP. So I've kind of have an artifact set with a lot of HP in it. But anyway, the weapon, this is my only 5-star weapon that I've gotten throughout this entire year of Genshin Impact. And this was from the permanent banner, and it was also a pity. It was a 5-star pity that awarded me this spear. So I've given it to Johnny since he's actually pretty good. I used him quite often, and I would probably use him more often once I've maxed out the companion on most of my characters. He'll probably be like the main shield character that I bring with me to do whatever content that I needs to be done. But yeah, he has an energy recharge, which I think it would probably be better if I gave him like a crit rate spear, like this one. But since the attack on these 5-star weapons are just, like the base attack, I mean, it's just so much higher at a level 80 compared to everything else that having that base attack is probably better than having the crit rate, especially since I'm not building him as like a DPS character. He mostly gives shields and give crystallized reaction shields, and but he is like, he does do a good amount of damage because of like the perks he has. If I go to the artifact here, I gave him, I don't know why I keep saying her. I gave him, I guess the last like all the characters were ladies, so I got stuck into a her mindset. But he's a dude, so I gave him the tenacity of the Millilith set, since this set is pretty much made for him, since I think he's the only character that can take advantage of the 4th piece. Maybe like Xin Yan can take advantage of it, but there's not a lot of characters right now that can take advantage of the 4-piece bonus here that makes it so that you get a attack increase even if he's not on the field. Not a lot of people's elemental skill lingers in this way, and not a lot of character whose elemental skill lingers can take advantage of the HP increase of the first bonus. So normally other artifact sets would be better for those characters. So yeah, he's the only one who can really take advantage of both the 2-piece and the 4-piece bonus. And yeah, he's the only character that I have that I'm happy with the substats for every single piece of his artifact. And you can see HP in a lot of them. I'll just scroll through them. And yeah, so he has pretty much all HP artifacts, and the substats on them are pretty much generally crit rate, crit damage, HP, and attack. I guess there's some energy recharge in there too, but for the most part, the more HP you build on him, the more geo damage he does. So he can pretty much take advantage of every single substat that I've given him, which I'm actually kind of proud of. And he's also a tank, so he can survive most encounters. I got no constellations for him, and I've only did a fair amount of upgrading of his talents. So yeah, the one thing that I think you need to pay attention to for him is this dominance of Earth trait that he gets when he levels up or ascends to level 4 or something. And it makes it so that he deals more damage based on his max HP, which is why I gave him all the HP artifacts. So yeah, that's Zhongli. Let's move on to Tartaglia. I've recently leveled him up to level 82, and I haven't really been using him in the open world, but he does. He is very useful in the Spiral Abyss. But yeah, I've given him this bow, which reduces his charge attack damage but increases normal attack. So I just spam normal attacks for him. I gave him the Hydro set, the Heart of Death set, just to increase his Hydro bonus. With this crit rate headpiece, that's a Lava Walker. But yeah, I'll scroll through this so you can see kind of the substats on them. They're alright. Some of them could probably be better, but most of them are pretty good. No constellations, and he has a passive talent that increases his normal attack by 1 level. So this isn't even level 4, it's level 3. So I haven't really put a lot of resources into leveling his talents up, which maybe I should if I plan to continue to use him in the Spiral Abyss, since he does do a good amount of DPS. Let's move on to Noel. Noel is one of the first characters that I've unlocked in the game. And she's been pretty good as a shielder, as a healer. She's using this white blind sword, which increases her defense. I was hoping to max out her constellation, which I am one away, which makes it so that her defense is converted to attack for her whenever she's in her ult mode, where she imbues her sword with geo energy. But unfortunately, even though you'd probably expect her to be maxed out by now, since she's probably one of the most accessible characters to anyone free to play, I actually have not been able to max her out yet, interestingly enough. And I'll just go weapon, defense, and she's using a Maiden's Beloved set to increase her healing effectiveness. But she also has just defense, one of these is a defense main stat here. I'll scroll through them again. So that's how I've built her. I've taken advantage of some of the not so good substats that has defense in it, but since she can take advantage of the defense stat, so that's why I've given her the set with the defense. I try to make use of my artifacts as best as possible. I've already went through Constellation. Her talents are all level 5, which is some attention, but not a whole lot, since, as I said, it costs way too much resources to increase the talents. Alright, so Diona. Diona is also, I think, one of the first new characters in the game. And at some point, I think there was an event that gave her away too. And she has been super useful too. She's a bow character, so she is useful to have in your party for like open world puzzles and stuff, where you need to like hit objects far away. She's a healer with her elemental burst, and she also provides shields. So similar to Noel, a lot of utility, a lot of quality of life if you include these two characters in your party. I've given her Sacrificial Bow, which just makes it so that her elemental skill has a chance of just like renewing itself. And her elemental skill is pretty useful since it gives you a shield. And if you notice, I have not maxed out any weapons except for I think 2 weapons. Clee's book, since during that event a lot of resources has been given to do it, to let you max them out, and like some level like 3 stars stuff. Anyway, that's kind of a tangent. I've given her this HP set, the Tenacity Millilith, to increase her HP since her healing is scaled off of her HP. And also this cryo set, Blizzard Strayer, since she does cryo damage, really. Maybe an argument could be made to give her Maiden's Beloved, but I don't have enough Maiden's Beloved gear to divvy around, and I had to make a decision of who to give these Maiden gear to, and I thought it was better on Barbara, Chi-Chi, and Noel more than her, since only Diona's burst is the only thing that heals, whereas the other 3 here, like, they have a lot better healing access. So that's the reason why I gave her a cryo damage increase, even though like in the end it's not really that useful to have increase her cryo damage, but at least she's doing a bit more damage than she normally would. And this is like a case of me having to kind of give what I have, look at what I have and give her what's available, instead of like giving her what's best in slot kind of deal. So yeah, I'll scroll through these once again. So I don't have a crit rate, and I've also utilized a bunch of HP artifacts on her, just so it would increase the amount of healing she does. I have maxed out her Constellation. I pulled a bunch of her recently on the Yoimiya banner. There was a event that gave one iteration of her, and yeah, that all added up pretty quickly and maxed her out. Again, talents is just whatever. It's gonna be like this for pretty much all the characters going forward. Let's move on to Barbara. Barbara was also one of the first characters available for this game. I've given her like an HP weapon. I think originally I had her using this so that you can switch into her, do the healing and switch off to a DPS character, and that DPS character would get like a 50%, or I guess in this case 48% attack increase. But eventually I felt like the elemental burst energy regeneration for the entire party was a bit more fun to use than just having that like little the one interaction here for this doing Tales of Dragonslayer catalyst, compared to the prototype Amber, which kind of opens up more combos, since you can use her and increase the amount of energy and get more elemental bursts available faster with this one. So yeah, let's move on to the artifacts. I've given her half Heart of Deaths to increase her Hydro bonus, and half Maiden's Beloved just to make it so that her healing is a little bit better. She has a healing bonus hat, which is the reason why I decided to like give her like more of a DPS artifact set, or for the main stat for these three. I guess these two, since this one doesn't change. Which I don't know, like she does enough healing that I feel like she kind of over heals if I try to put HP into these two. And in order to give a bit more DPS, I decided to give her these two instead, which it's actually, she actually does a good amount of damage because of it. And yeah, I've obviously maxed out her constellation. I think she was like available in like 2 or 3 events to be unlocked, just straight up. Maybe 2. Actually, maybe 3. I don't know, actually. I'm just gonna say 2, just to be safe. I know for sure if you started the game, you get one iteration of her straight up, and then there was another event that gave her, but I don't know, I can't be sure if there was a 3rd event that gave another iteration of her. But yeah, she was like the first character whose constellation I've maxed out. Her talents are alright, I guess. And yeah. Alright, let's move on to Xin Yan. So Xin Yan is more of a defensive shield provider character, and that's kind of the way I've built her. Since she was one of the rare shield support characters, I've actually put more effort into her than some of the other characters, even though she's kind of newer than a lot of other characters. She's using an energy recharge sacrificial greatsword just so she can renew her elemental skill every once in a while and possibly provide more shields that way. I've given her this Noblesse set so that whenever she uses her ult, she increases the attack of the entire party, so it kind of synergizes with like the DPS characters a little bit more. And she has like a talent, or one of her talents, or one of her elemental skills. I think it's one of her talents, actually, that whoever is in her bubble, her shield, gets increased physical damage. So that's like one thing you can kind of take advantage of. But yeah, let's take a look at her artifacts. She has a crit rate, but then because the substats are so atrocious that I kind of gave it to her, since she can at least take advantage of the defense parts of this. And yeah, she has all defense, I believe. Oh, actually I have an attack here. Huh, interesting. So defense, attack, HP, and there's defense in all of their substats. I guess for this one, since the main stat is defense. But yeah, I believe this used to be a defensive, like, other... Maybe it was this one? I don't think I had her with a full set of Noblesse before. I had her with, like, a different one that is provided defense instead. Maybe I've used it to kind of sacrificed it and used it to boost a different one. But yeah. Anyway, I've maxed out her constellation. I've actually recently pulled like 2 Xin Yans, maybe even 3. Maybe 2? Like just back to back off of the Yoimiya banner, and also one of them was from the permanent banner for a reason, which actually gives me a little bit of hope. Like, I was trying to chase Sayu at the time, and I got a bunch of Xin Yans and a bunch of Dionas. But since I got a Xin Yan from the permanent banner, maybe in the future I'd be able to pull Sayu from the permanent banner as well. Who knows, right? Her talents are alright, and let's go to Sucrose. Sucrose is like my only elemental damage character that I try to level up, since she does really well as an elemental damage, elemental reaction kind of focus. she's at level 80, which I'm trying to like get the resources to level her up or ascend her to her last level so that she can at least start gaining experience again. She's using the Sacrificial Fragment, which works really well on her since it is an Elemental Mastery catalyst, and also it like renews her elemental skill. There's a chance that she gains that elemental skill back, and in her character kit, I think one of her constellations, yeah, it increases, like she gets an extra charge out of it, so you can potentially just like fire off 3 elemental skills back to back and do whatever like elemental reactions and stuff that those 3 elemental skills would trigger, which is pretty fun actually. It's pretty satisfying since her elemental skill is also a crowd control kind of skill. And yeah, I've given her a bunch of Viridescent Verner set to increase her elemental damage and it makes it so that whenever she makes a swirl reaction, it decreases the enemy's like resistance to certain elements, so she pretty much ramps up damage pretty quickly whenever she attacks, especially with reactions, which is why I've given her like elemental mastery like for these 2 things. And I don't know why I give her crit rate here. I don't think this actually is all that useful. I guess it's an attack, which is also not really that useful. But yeah, at the very least, having the elemental mastery here makes it so that her reaction does quite a good amount of DPS. Maybe I should just give her like another elemental, like this thing right here, to like give her more elemental mastery. But then it'll break the VV set. Oh well, let's not do any building right now. I haven't really used her all that much ever since I've maxed out her friendship. But there was an iteration of the Spiral Abyss, which heavily favored and buffed elemental damage, which is the reason why I set her up with this in the first place. And it was pretty satisfying to use her in that Spiral Abyss moon phase. And yeah, I have 3 constellations for her, which I actually didn't know until I just looked at this again. And she doesn't really have a lot of talent leveled up. Oh, we're about like maybe a little bit more than halfway through all the characters. Oh, this section has been a lot longer than I thought it would be. So maybe going forward, I'll go a bit faster. Changyan has the prototype Archaic Blizzard Strayer set just to increase his cryo damage. And yeah, you can pause to look at the elemental or the substats for them. He has 4 constellation. He has a good amount of talent upgrade, but again, not really. And yeah, we'll move on to Kea. Again, he's level 80. He's currently holding this since this sword, the Amenoma Kageuchi, is really useful for characters with low elemental skill cooldowns, since that's the way you gain more elemental particles from this weapon. And also, Kea, he heals himself based on like how much attack he has whenever he uses elemental skills, so that's pretty useful. He has a set of Gladiator's Finale just to increase his attack some more. No constellation because for whatever reason Amber, Kea, and Lisa isn't a part of any banner except for the permanent one. So yeah, unfortunate. And regular talent upgrade, just like level 5. Fischl. Also one of the first characters I got and started using a lot. She's really fun to use, especially since you can combo her with a lot of other DPSs really well, since her elemental skill just lingers. Like Oz just stays on the field and shoots everyone while you switch the character. And also her elemental burst summons Oz as well after she finishes. So yeah, I've tried to make her have physical damage but I feel like it's probably better if you increase her attack, since you can utilize Oz's attack. Since Oz, like, his damage scales off of her attack, especially when you switch off of her while Oz is still on the field. Oz's attack is scaled off of her attack, so even though physical damage is pretty fun if you use her as a main, since if Oz is not on the field, she pretty much shoots twice. But yeah, it's probably better to build attack on her more than anything. She is using half Bloodstained set for the physical damage, and half Thundering Fury for electro damage, which honestly is probably not too good, but it's the set that I have for her, since I guess I put like the Gladiator set on other characters that would increase attack. With the Gladiator, like half Gladiator, half Electro would probably be better for her, or if you have like the new artifacts, Gladiator and this Shimenawa's Reminiscent set, which also increases attack by 18%, comboing those two would probably be better for her as well, since she just takes so much advantage because of of this perk, because of Oz being on the field, really. But yeah, she's actually pretty good. I really like having her on the team, and whenever I have difficulty doing like a challenge in the open world, or doing like an event that requires like a lot of DPS, I usually just combo her with either Sucrose or Clee, and the elemental reactions from that would just like burn out and destroy everyone, which is pretty nice. I've maxed out her constellation. There was, I think, one event that lets you unlock her straight up, but she was a part of a lot of character banners in the past, so I was able to max out her constellation. And I've actually put in quite a bit of resources into leveling up her talents. So yeah, that's official. Let's move on to Razer. Razer is like a physical damage dealer. At least that's how I've set him up. I originally had him using this sword, even though it didn't really go aesthetically for him. But since I got Oola, I thought she probably can utilize this sword better, and I just gave him like a Favonius sword that I have lying around. And it makes it so that he gets his ult up more often, which is actually pretty good since his ult is pretty powerful. He has half Pill Flame and half Bloodstained Chivalry, just to like increase his physical damage. Really, that's pretty much the main goal for it. Normally I would put a crit rate here, but I don't have any more crit rate artifacts for Razer, so that's why he has a crit damage one instead. Luckily, one of the substats in this is crit rate. I have 4 constellations for him. Don't really remember when I did this. It's been a while. I think it's been a while since he's been part of any banners too. And yeah, he has a little bit of talent upgraded. Let's move on to Lisa. Lisa is like one of the characters that I've criticized a lot in the past. Her playstyle just completely does not fit my playstyle, I guess. And I didn't really put a lot of effort into her after I maxed out her friendship, unfortunately. As much as I like her character design and her character's personality, the gameplay for her just kind of ruins it for me. That's why she doesn't even have like a good weapon. I just gave her like the new catalyst that was introduced in the 2.0 patch. I guess I can give her this. This is probably better for her. Yeah, sure, why not? Whatever. I'm not using her at the moment anyways. So. She has a Thundering Fury, which increases electro damage and also electro-related reactions. And yeah, there's just so much about her that it's just so janky to use. And I won't go into that now. I've spoken about it in the past, but I don't feel like this is a good place to talk about it. But yeah, I don't have any consolation for her because, again, Lisa, Amber, and Kea is not really a part of the character banner. It's only a part of the permanent banner, which I don't really pull on very often. And even if I do pull on the permanent banner, there's only a chance to pull those 3 characters. So unfortunately, on top of her not being too fun to use, there's not a lot of chance to like upgrade her to possibly make her a bit more fun to use either. Her talents are not as leveled up as the other ones. And yeah, that's Lisa. Look at Xingqiu. Xingqiu is one of the characters that I initially thought was really bad, but turned out to be really good. I've leveled him. He's kind of like more of a DPS than anything, but he does take advantage of like the HP stat as well. So I've actually given him a 3-star sword, which at the moment is actually higher DPS than any other sword I can give him. Like, I guess I can give him this one, which is also crit damage, but Keqing is holding it, so that's why he's kind of defaulted to use this. But this sword actually does better for him than like the Flute, Lion's Roar, Prototype Rancor, or even this one, the Amin Noma Kageuchi. And it's because it increases his crit rate by 28% if his health is above 90, which is often the case since he actually does heal with his elemental skill pretty often. And the crit damage and the crit rate combo together for this is really useful for Xingqiu, especially since his elemental burst is like super bursty. So, which is the reason why I've given him this 3-star, even though I have a 4-star ready to go. And yeah, this is one of the 3-stars that I've maxed out the level on, which all the other weapons, if you notice, kind of like stays at level 80, and that's as far as I've went in putting resource into leveling them up. He's using Heart of Death set, so what I plan to do for him is pretty much make his elemental burst like as strong as possible. So he's got a hydro damage, cup, crit rate. I'll go through these ones one at a time slowly. And you can see like there is like HP in some of them, which at the very least he can take advantage of with the damage reduction that he has with his elemental skill. I've got 3 constellations for him. I actually pulled quite a few of him in the early days when he was available, but after that I haven't really pulled much of him. So he's just like halfway there. His talents are at level 5 pretty much. And yeah, that's Xingqiu. Bennett is good and bad. Good and bad at the same time. He can heal, he can increase attack, but it's really hard to build, and you don't want to build both because it kind of like makes him a jack of all trade but master of none. But unfortunately I don't really know how to build him, and I just kind of gave him like hand-me-downs from other people. He has a Noblesse Oblige set and Lion's Roar. Lion's Roar was initially leveled up for Keqing, but then I got that crit damage sword, which was a better, I feel like a better weapon for her than this. So he ended up holding this afterwards, since it does increase pyro, or increase damage if the enemy has pyro on them. And for the most part, like, I feel like I want him to be a DPS character, but he does have healing attached to him, so it's kind of tough. Like, I've just given him a bunch of hand-me-downs, so these are not really well fitted for him. But at the very least, whenever he does his ult, he increases everyone's attack, and his ult, or his burst, also increases attack for characters that are higher than 70% health. So he kind of just like charges other people up, really. He charges everyone up with passion. I don't really have a lot of constellations unlocked for him either. And I haven't really upgraded his talents all that much. I think the one thing that I didn't like about his kit was that his elemental skill, it just takes too long to charge, and I didn't really like that. And the tap for his elemental skill was kind of boring. It doesn't seem to like go far enough. Like he doesn't like jump far enough. It's just like not very fun to use, I guess. But he is like more of a utility character, I guess, more of a support utility character than a DPS. And unfortunately, I tried to make him a DPS, and it didn't really fit his gameplay all that well. And since I put so much resources into making him a DPS, it just kind of soured the whole experience. I think if I put my resources into making him more of a support DPS, I would probably enjoyed it more. But once I maxed out his friendship, that was about it. I didn't go back to him all that much, but I feel like he is so useful. He has so much potential in his kit that if I just put more time into like thinking how to use him, it would probably be really good. But unfortunately, by the nature of the game, they're just constantly releasing new characters, and then the existing older characters just gets overshadowed by the new ones, since it's always like about the new. And Bennett is like one of the characters that just suffers because of that, or my gameplay sense. Xiangling. Xiangling is also one of the first characters I unlocked, I think, right from the start. If you completed like stage 3 or something of the Spiral Abyss, you get like Xiangling straight up. And yeah, she has an energy recharge sword, or not swords, polearm, since her elemental burst is like super fun to use. It's like these spinning things that circle around the character. And I've given her a... This is also a hand-me-down Gladiator finale set. But it's still pretty good. The substats on them aren't too good, but they are pretty leveled up for the most part. Except for this one, I guess. And yeah, I kind of wish like her elemental skill is a bit more useful. Like more, you can kind of aim where you want to apply the damage. But unfortunately, it's more like an AI that pops up that attacks the nearest target. And makes it so that pretty much when Dragon Spine came up and I realized like she can't light torches reliably, she's kind of been kicked off the team. And because of all the new characters coming in, there was no room for her to come back anymore, which is unfortunate. But yeah, her constellation is at 2. So I got one for free, and I guess at some point I pulled more of her. And she has somewhat decent talent leveled up. I think we're close to the end here. There's just Amber and Ninguan left. Amber is the very first character I got after Lumine. And she's been very faithful, but unfortunately, she is also power crept by other characters. I love her character design, and I love her like voice acting and everything, but unfortunately her kit is very, very generic. I've given her a Favonius bow kind of just to make like the aesthetic, like the lore make sense for her game. I don't really know what else to say about Amber. Let's just go through her artifacts. She has complete hand-me-downs from other characters, and her artifact set is like pretty horrendous. And I've just kind of made the best out of what I had available for her, since I don't really use her all that much anyway, unfortunately. And hey, I actually have a few consolation for her, even though the only way to get her is through the permanent banner. Actually, I think you might have gotten there might have been an event that provided another one of her, and I believe she might have been a part of the store. If I look at the shop here, you can see like Beto right now is part of the store, and I've actually purchased Noel from this month. And I think I was like, since my logic was that since she's part of the permanent banner and I don't get a lot of chances to unlock her, I decided to just pick her up when she was part of this when she was a part of this menu. I just traded the Star Glitter for her. Alright. So Constellation, Talent. Talent is not too leveled up either. And yeah. Last but not least, Ninguan. Ninguan is an amazing character to have in your party. She like highlights where ore is on the map. And she's a ranged character, and her attacks home and everything is she's really awesome to have. It's just that for whatever reason her charge attacks are sometimes janky to use. That's the only criticism I have really for her. But yeah, given her the crit damage, the width, since it really went with pretty much try to max out her damage. I had her in the same team with Zhang Li, so that the Geo Resonant would make it so that if you have a shield, your attack and everything would be increased. So like her DPS was pretty intense when she was at the same team with Zhang Li. She's the only one with like a Archaic Petra set, but I feel like the 4-piece set on this is kind of underpowered, since for the most part you can't really rely on the crystallized reaction shield all that well, because there's like a whole thing about the crystallized reaction shields and like regular shields for the matter. You don't really know when they're gonna be destroyed. There's no indication, and at the same time they also like run out. Like they there's like a time limit on how long they stay on your character, which is kind of unfair because the shields on the enemies stay forever until you break them or you kill the character. So I feel like, I don't know, there could be some rework on the provision of shield, or at least the communication of how much shields you have or how much damage absorption you can get from the shields in this game. But yeah, she's the only one with the Archaic Petra like actually taking advantage of the bonus that it has, and it's only the 2-piece bonus as well. And since she's a Catalyst user, of course you gotta give her a Geo damage bonus cup. So yeah, these are her artifacts. Alright, woo. Those are my characters. That was pretty long. Are you still here? Next up is really the inventory. I don't know how much there is to see here, but I'll start on the weapons. So these are all my weapons currently and who has them equipped. I guess this is a better menu to see like just from a weapons point of view. I only have the one 5-star, like I said earlier, and I have a bunch of 4-star, which is, I think most of them are available just through the game, just playing like events and stuff, and some of them like the Sacrificial Fragments, the Favonius like set of weapons, they're from Wishes. But yeah, I feel like I got a good amount of 4-stars, and I only really have one character currently using a 3-star weapon. So yeah, I'll scroll through this, you can take a look. I guess I have picked up some of these 1-star ones, but they'll probably be devoured soon by another weapon. But yeah, I generally go through and clean up my inventory pretty often, try to like upgrade as much as possible so that it doesn't get too bloated. Just going to the artifacts. I think I have every single character with like 5-star artifacts. I don't think any of my characters is using a 4-star, and nor do I think I would be trying to find 4-star artifacts for any characters. I would probably be grinding for 5 stars from henceforth, since it seems kind of reasonable in a sense where I am constantly trying to grind artifacts to upgrade anyway, upgrade like artifacts and that make them stronger. So the chances of me getting an artifact set that is useful to new characters is pretty high because I keep grinding for artifacts. So that's the reason why I don't think I'll be relying on 4 stars. So if I scroll through this list, you can see a good amount of 5 stars that are locked off, which is just me saying like, oh, these might be useful down the road. And I guess I did some like bosses or something, and that's why there's like this set of 4 stars and 3 stars down here, which is probably going to be devoured soon, and just to feed and level up some of the 5 stars I have. So yeah, I try to keep this clean as much as possible because there is a limit on how many of these you can hold. And I don't want it to be too unwieldy. And also, I'm always trying to make them stronger anyway. So I can never have enough artifacts to level up all the ones that are currently in use. Alright, character development materials. Because of the event, I've gotten a few of these. The Leyline Blossom event. And yeah, I've killed a lot of slimes, I've killed a lot of Healy Churls. And yeah, this is kind of the drop progress that I have. I have a lot of these, mostly because I haven't really been upgrading the talents of any of my characters to a point where these gets consumed. And as you can see, I don't have a lot of the red or the agate and agate chunks, fragments, slivers, and gems, because I've actually spent so much upgrading pyro characters. But I do have a few of these. Like I have enough here to like upgrade another hydro character if I want to level 80 or to Ascension level 6 or something, I think. And yeah, I guess there is a way to convert like one set of gem to another set, but I haven't really interfaced with that side of the game all that much. And these are my talent material, which is not that much. I have quite a few of these crowns, but I have never crowned any of my characters, so this is just accumulating at this point. And yeah, these are the weapon level up. I feel like the amount of resin it requires to get these materials is just so like, I don't know, I feel like too many things require resin to get, so the way you spend your resin is just like cost benefit analysis meta game that you have to do, which is unfortunate. I think that brings the game down more than anything. And yeah, these are the food that I have, which is pretty nice, I guess. These are the crafting materials that I have. I have a few of these billets, but I don't know what I want to build yet. The new set of weapons from the 2.0 release are pretty interesting, but I'm kind of at a point, like a gamer point, where I don't want to use these because it might be useful later kind of thing. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm stuck in that right now. At some point, I probably will force myself to use these just to upgrade some of the weapons that I have, but I kind of feel like there might be something new that can be crafted, and I won't have it if I use it. So that's why I just keep these around. But yeah, this is the materials that I have. So this is the more interesting section of this. I have like the teapot. I don't think I'll go into teapot for this. I think it might be out of the scope of this video, which is just like a count tour more than anything. So yeah, I've kind of built a bunch of these gadgets. I think the one I use the most is this, which is a quick heal menu, which honestly, a lot of these gadgets I feel like should be kind of baseline. It's kind of accessible somehow, just through like better UI. But I guess this is their MiHoYo solution to some of these things. Unfortunately, like there was a camera that lets you go into first person, but none of these cameras let you do that, which is a little unfortunate. This one I use pretty often, and I currently don't have Indora or the 2 Sealies up because at first they're like super cute and stuff, but eventually they just become an annoyance to me. But yeah, I guess I'm not too into these little floating mini pets. Yeah, these are from like events, and I don't really know what this is for, since I haven't really interfaced with like the gardening in the teapot, but I have been using this just to collect seeds, so I eventually interface with this, I think. This is kind of like useless now, I believe, unless in 2.1 they release more islands with those like kitsune things that you use. But yeah, yeah, I guess this is kind of useless. There's always like a fireplace, or if I really want to cook, I just like teleport to one of the major cities. So this is kind of useless, and I never really used this either while I was in Dragon Spine. I feel like a lot of these menus and items and stuff can be further refined, and I think the next menu would probably be more telling on how like bad it is. These are all quest items, but I don't know what quests they're for off the top of my head by looking at them. And also, I never really look into this menu for anything anyway. I guess this menu kind of just shows you what kind of story quest that you've gone through, but really, like, I don't know. This menu is kind of useless for me. It almost feels like this should be like an archive or something more than an item thing. This is a bunch of precious items. So these are all like the collectibles in the open world and like the wish currencies and stuff. And yeah, one of these. I don't really know if this is all the Crimson Agate there are. I have 20 of these, which I assume when 2.1 comes out, this will come into play again. I had a hunting trap from one of Razer's quests that I never used, so it just lingers here forever now. And yeah, these are from the wishes, these two currencies. And right now I don't have any intertwined fates, but I do have 19 acquaint fates for future wish videos, I guess. And yeah, these electro sigils currently are useless, but I'm assuming this comes back into play when 2.1 patch rolls out. And yeah, these Anemo and Geo sigils you can just sell for Mora pretty much. I've been kind of keeping these fragile resin, these two, just in case something awesome happens and I need emergency resin to do. So that's why I have two. But normally I just use my fragile resins for boss fights and stuff to try and get more Ascension material to ascend my characters. But yeah, this is for the teapot, and it makes it so that you immediately craft something. And I actually never use this for anything. I don't really know what it's for. I guess it's for converting a boss material from one to another. And this is to convert like one of the gems or crystals or whatever, the Ascension crystals from one element to another. And yeah, these are all my teapot furniture and stuff. Recently, I've been trying to build the sets for the friendship thingy that makes characters give you friendship gifts, which one of the rewards is primo gems. So I'll have enough primo gems, and that's my inventory. So yeah, I guess that is the account progress I have after 1 year of playing this game since launch. And if I were to summarize stuff, I guess I have 27 characters, in which 7 of them, I guess if you count Lumine, 8 of them are 5-star, and the rest of them, 20 of them, are 4-star, in which 4 of them have maxed out constellations after the first year, and I was able to get most of them to at least close to level 80-ish, except for Yoimiya here. And yeah, I guess that would be kind of the most indication. This menu here is kind of like the best indication of how much progress someone has when it comes to unlocks as a free-to-play player of the game, because that's how much resources you have access to without having to pay at all. So yeah, I feel like on average the game does give enough primo gems, give enough fates, give enough rewards for you to really get a good sense. Like, I do feel like the amount of characters I do have is pretty good for a free-to-play player. I don't know if anyone else wants to like chime in the comments down below or whatever to tell like their experiences with the variety of characters they're getting or the quality of the characters that they're getting. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty fair. It could be better, but again, it could be a lot worse too. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how to build an argument for either of those cases, but to my personal experience, I feel like I've gotten quite a wide variety of characters for this game, and I'm able to do pretty much everything I want to do in this game for the most part with the characters and the resources available to me. So I would maybe recommend this game to other people more, but at the same time I actually do spend quite a bit of time in the game, whereas other people might not have the amount of time to spend doing all the events, doing all the daily commissions, doing the Spiral Abyss, upgrading the characters to be able to clear those things and everything. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I don't normally do content like this, so this is a bit new to me, and I know this is going to be this is a long video. So yeah, subscribe for more, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.